it's something that I've wanted my whole career and my whole life was to win a championship here in Buffalo.
But would it mean more here?
It'd mean everything here.
You're right in there, is there? You're right between them and Ruff is trying to get.
We didn't blow it. We didn't blow it. Nobody blew it. Do you think Pat Coletta hitting Lucic was a penalty? Then Recchi hitting Kennedy's a penalty. Is it not? He's closed.
Murray and Ruff are chipping away at each other. They want to go.
You're going to take out one of our best players because you couldn't take a hit? That's a joke. That's an absolute joke is what it is.
Lindy Ruff intense.
And we get a penalty on the play? That's a joke. That's the definition of a joke right there. Because he's reacting because he got hit, and the officials don't see that? That is a joke.
The referee can't repeat it. Oh, well, you don't have to. We heard most unfortunately.
Suspend him. Get him out of the game. I've had enough of that. A joke is what it is.
I'm going to leave you with 2 words. Be the final 2 words for this summer. No goal.
How the hell do you remember all those questions?
So what does family mean to you?
Family means everything. I think it's the one thing growing up with a family of 4 boys and a mom and dad that did everything for their kids. You know, I had parents that blessed us with the opportunity to play sports, and sports have been a big part of my life, and really tried hard. And I know in my business it's been hard to be a big part of their life, but tried extremely hard to be a big part when I could.
Did family play a role in deciding to do this again?
Family did play a role. Family was the people I talked to about, you know, getting back into it, and of course my kids were, why wouldn't you do it? But my wife was a huge influence too. You know, Buffalo's our home. You know, my heart's in Buffalo. It always has been. I call it home. We got a lot of great friends here, and the sports teams are a passion of mine.
When you were introduced, you said it wasn't an immediate yes. When you said your family were the people that you talked to, did they push it over the finish line? Were they the ones who you needed to hear, like, hey, this is what you should do?
Yeah, they were a big influence for sure. Because you know, you get to a point in your life where I feel that, you know, maybe at this point we should spend more time with our children, wherever they're at. Go see them, go visit them, be with them. But the kids kind of voted otherwise, and when that happened, my wife was the one who has supported me through years and years of playing, years and years of coaching, and she's the one that helped endorse it. And you know, I think at this time in my career, it was a family decision.
What were the reservations, besides obviously wanting to spend more time at home? What were the other reservations of why it wasn't an immediate yes?
You know, I think coming off a tough year, you know, didn't know if I really wanted to get right back into it. Really was the only reservation. You know, the Buffalo part and the chance to do, you know, what I didn't get done as a player, what we almost got done as a coach or a coaching staff. That's probably at the end what pushed me, said, well, why wouldn't I do it? Why wouldn't I take another? I'm humbled by the opportunity to get another chance, and it's something that I've wanted my whole career and my whole life was to win a championship here in Buffalo.
Unfinished business, is that fair?
I'd say so.
For you, you want that and you chase that for so long. And I know it would mean so much wherever you were, but would it mean more here?
It'd mean everything here, really. You don't get a chance to play in a city, to coach in the city, and then have a second chance coaching in the same city to win a championship. We're a city that means so much to your family. We have so many friends, and I mean, for me, it's such a great sports city.
I'm sitting here, we're looking, you know, you see the buildings, you see the arena in the background. What has Buffalo meant to you over the years? Because it has become home.
It's a place where I'm proud to call home, where I've got a lot of friends that are a lot of good people, and a lot of good people that I want to spend the rest of my life with.
I tell people all the time, so I'm from here, and I saw firsthand what those years were like in the late 90s and the early 2000s. I remember everything from pretty much every game, that when the team is good, there's nothing like it. What was it like from your vantage point?
Well, I think you've described it. I think that this city, when the Bills are winning, when the Sabres are winning, pandemonia with the fans, the playoff atmosphere in that building, the number of people outside, and I'm talking whether it's football, whether it's hockey, whether it's lacrosse. We have a great sports city here.
You were just at Bills practice. How did you become such a big Bills fan? Was it just, hey, well, like when you get to Buffalo, you have to become a big Bills fan?
I think playing here at a young age, going to a few Bills games. As a kid from Western Canada, didn't know a lot about the NFL, but I instantly became a Bills fan. And playing through the 80s, became friends with Jim Kelly, Jim Haslett, Fred Smirlis, Reggie McKenzie, you name a lot of different players that we would see around. And, and I think, anytime you're in the sporting business, it's easy to talk to another guy from another sport and compare notes.
Do you have a favorite sports memory?
I have so many favorite memories. I think one of the very first was my parents calling me and saying, you got drafted. When there was no cell phones, when they had to get a hold of you by calling the hotel. I was at a hotel somewhere in Western Canada taking power skating lessons and didn't think I'd ever be drafted. That was a big moment. Playing my first game here in Buffalo against the Washington Capitals, which I'll never forget, and dreamed of playing in the NHL as a kid. That was huge. My first, and I know there's a lot of memories. You said one.
Yeah.
I'm going to cover off the playoffs. My first year here in Buffalo, playing with Gilbert Perreault, playing with Jim Schoenfeld, Danny Gare, Craig Ramsey, all those guys. Olympic golds, a couple Olympic golds as assistant coach, but all great sporting memories.
How about it as a coach of the Sabres? Do you have a favorite memory?
The win against Toronto that sent us to the Stanley Cup Finals would be probably my all-time favorite. And then, just playing in front of the hometown against Dallas in those Stanley Cup Finals it's a memory that you'll never forget.
How were you as a coach then, and how have you evolved?
Oh boy, I think the players are different. The game is a lot different, a lot more speed, a lot more skill. Players now want a lot of interaction, want a lot of communication. They want, if you're trying to drive a point home, they want to know why. Why is this good for me? Learn to have fun with these guys. Be demanding, be fair, but have a lot of fun with them.
Even if you're having fun with them, there are probably times when you need to be tough on them. You're a tough player, tough coach. That's what people have always said. How do you instill that in a team? How do you get that out of a team?
That's got to come from within. I think it's the understanding with the players that we're going to play a certain way. We're going to expect a lot. There's a level that we need to play at, and we can't dip below that level. And then it's going to be the group that puts pressure on each other to demand it out of each other. I will be the guy that gets to agree or disagree whether we've reached that level, and be tough but fair. But I think we have the group that can get there.
When you were coaching just last year in New Jersey and you're getting ready to play the Sabres, what are the first things you notice when you're preparing to play that team?
Highly skilled team that incredibly talented off the rush. Some great young defensemen, some great young goal scorers. Reminds me a lot of really when I first got to Dallas with Ben, with Sagan, with the likes of those guys we just saw in the playoffs. Last year where we finished third overall with Heischer and Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt and Dougie Hamilton on defense. So a lot of the pieces are very similar. We just have to agree as a group that we're going to take this thing to the next level.
And as you evaluate that and you look from the outside in, okay, there's a lot of talent, but why have they fallen short? And I know there can be a lot of reasons there, but what do you think they need to do as a group, and you guys need to do as a group to kind of get there?
Yeah, I would see the first thing is we have to play better defensively. We have an incredible amount of talent to make all kinds of special plays. But I would probably use the analogy of we have to learn how not to lose. You can try to win all night, but you better be able to lock a game down when you got a lead. If you got a 2-goal lead, ensure that you're going to win a game, and do the right things that by the end of the game, you're going to make sure you win that game.
From the outside looking in, it's interesting because 2 years ago, this team could score at will, and it felt like they could kind of outscore some of their mistakes. And then last year, that went away. Do you feel like you have the pieces to score enough to have, or do you need more like depth, more spread out scoring? How do you evaluate that?
I think we have to find more ways to score. And I would use some net front, a better net front presence, guys around the net looking for tips, second opportunities. I think because of the year 2 years ago, the team got a lot of credit for how good they were off the rush, the skillful plays they could make. So coaching in this league is at an elite level, and a lot of that got taken away. So then you've got to find other ways to score, and I think that all the good teams do that.
For you, you've had a lot of success with exceptional goalies, understandably so. Ukko Pekka Luukkonen took a really big step next year. What have you seen from his development in the NHL, coaching against him, and now obviously, getting a chance to coach him?
Well, I mean, I don't know him that well. I've watched a lot of games where he's played it, and I think he's a tremendous netminder. I'm also of the viewpoint that you need two good goaltenders, and I think that you've got a young man, Levi, that stepped in and showed that he could play NHL games, win NHL hockey games. 2 years ago, he stepped in and put him on a real good run late in the year. But with the balance of the schedule being so heavy, and you're playing 4 games in 6 nights and 3 games in 4 nights, the days of a goalie playing 75 games are gone. You need a 50-30 split, or probably even closer, due to the fact that there's a lot of fatigue in the game at different times in the schedule where you need another netminder to step in and help win hockey games. So I feel with Ukko that we can win games. I also feel that Devon has proved as a young netminder that he can win hockey games.
What kind of player is Rasmus Dahlin?
He's an elite player in this league. He can do it all. He can play in every situation. He's a real good defender. He's a very talented offensive player. He's the type of defenseman in today's game that every team around the league would look at and say, I need one of those guys. I feel he's that good.
How do you unlock that same thing with Owen, knowing he's still very young in his career? I think for Rasmus, when he got to the league, there was such high expectations. Maybe it took a little bit longer to get to that point than people expected. Growing pains for Owen last year. How do you have him continue to grow, because he is such a pivotal piece?
Well, really, it comes down to playing. Any young defenseman, I've always felt they needed around 200 games in the league, or even more, to become that consistent defenseman, to understand the league, understand how every team plays. Because once you understand how teams play, what their best weapons are, what you need to take away, I really feel that your game starts to grow. And I think that he's already proven he can be a good NHL player. I think to be in a consistent level is understanding how hard some of these teams forecheck, where the puck has got to go, keeping the puck out of harm's way a lot of times. But at the same time, getting a level of consistency that every night you go, that this guy's a real good defenseman.
What is your vision for a power play? What do you need to have in a power play to be effective and consistently effective?
If you look at some of the best power plays right now, motion, pieces that kind of move around, under pressure, making sure that you have outs in the right place, that you're using the middle of the ice, that you're getting players around the net front. I think we've seen in these playoffs how tough it is for some of the best power plays to get something done. You look at an Oiler penalty killing that killed off 28 or 29 in a row against good power play teams. So it's details, it's taking advantage of chances, but at the same time, I think the best power plays are players that have been together a long time, and putting together a group of 5 that we feel at the start of the year can grow and just be that group will be important to having a real good power play.
How much do you watch the Stanley Cup, the playoffs? How much do you take in of it?
Been watching every night since the playoffs started, and probably even watching harder ever since I got the job. Just to grasp how tough the games are for some of the best players. You look at how tough it is these last couple games for a McDavid, a Draisaitl, and even on the other side of it, it was tough for Florida to generate game one. Oilers held them to minimal shots, and probably it was a goalie performance that won them a hockey game. So that compete level is the type of compete level you got to get if you want to win hockey games on a consistent basis.
You get it, obviously, coming from New Jersey, but Florida, Tampa, Tampa. So it's been in the division for 5 years in a row. Boston's been very good. Toronto's still got a lot of young talent. How do you separate yourselves in a division that is so loaded with talent?
That's a great question, because you talk about all those teams, and you talk about the teams that missed the playoffs, and every one of those teams is talking about how they're going to get better and get there. So now you're looking at 5 or 6 teams that are in the playoffs almost every year. The only way you can get there is beat those teams. You have to go into a season, get off to a great start, and when you're playing the best teams, you have to beat the best teams.
I have no idea from a professional standpoint how a team could have success on the road and not have success at home. It's so outside of my level of knowledge of the game. But the team has struggled a bit on home ice. How does that happen, and how does that get fixed?
That's another good question, because in Jersey we had a little tough time with our home record too. So I often think sometimes home, the distractions are greater. You have family, you have friends that are coming to the game. Sometimes the focus isn't as good. On the road, you have the players in a hotel room. You have your meetings in a hotel. You've got them all day long. I think that sometimes that focus is greater. And I think when you're struggling at home, you really have to reach into the fact that how are we preparing for this game? How are we getting ready as a group? How are we getting ready as individuals? Because it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it is hard to explain.
Is it just as simple as simplifying things? Is that what you need to do to try and have success on home ice? Or
I think there's a part of home ice where you want to perform and you want to entertain, and some teams come in and want to just bore you. They want to get the puck behind you. They want to force you to dump it in every time. They make sure they get it out. They're taking away, trying to take all the skill out of the game. And the only way you can beat that is to be harder than them at the game that they're playing.
I can't tell you how many times I would go to a game that you were coaching when I was growing up and watching the Devils, and it would be, okay, well, we're going to see 3 goals tonight, and whatever team gets 2 is going to ultimately win. As you look back on your time in the league, where do you think you've evolved to the most? And that could be from a playing standpoint or from a coaching standpoint.
I think coaching standpoint, just communication with players, understanding, the players from year to year, understanding where the game has gone and what these players have to offer, and being able to put those players in the right place so they can succeed on any given team. If that's the given roster you have, it's trying to utilize that player to his full potential and his strength.
There's a picture of you from today shaking hands or fist bumping with Josh Allen, and it's on social media, and sports fans in Buffalo are like, this is all I've ever wanted, basically. I know nostalgia is a tricky thing because you don't want to live in the past, but at the same time, does when you think about the past make you want it and think that you can achieve it more?
I really don't want to think about the past. I think of shaking Josh Allen's hand today. What an honor that was for me to shake a football player that is that good. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete. He's a tremendous quarterback. Mm-hmm. It was an honor for me to step on his field and shake his hand. I've got the utmost respect for how he plays the game. And if you could take the way Josh Allen plays, fearless, give me the ball, I'll take it. Some of that game that he plays, that's the game that our players need to play. That fearless, relentless, because when the game is on the line, Josh wants the ball.
For you were with Terry when Terry got here and then left, and now we're back with Terry. What has that whole process been like?
That process has been good. It's been a lot more about Kevin and I than anything to do with Terry and I. Terry was there in that process when I was hired, but it's been pretty well all Kevin and I, just sharing conversations and talking about how we're going to make this team better. What do we need to make this team better? And we know we have the support of Terry, and can pick up the phone anytime and talk to Terry. And Terry doesn't hesitate. Even some nights he's watching hockey, he's texting, "Hey, did you see that last goal?" That's the type of thing we need. So I don't think people understand, what a great hockey owner and great hockey fan he is.
Some staff that's retained, but Seth comes in. What do you see from Seth Appert that makes him a good addition to your roster or to your staff?
I really feel I've got a guy that has a tremendous relationship with a lot of the players that are here, knows him inside out. The players have a tremendous respect for him. A lot of them grew up with him coaching. I think what's really valuable to me is the fact that he understands these guys. I have to step in. I haven't drove the car before, but he has. He knows what to expect out of Peterka. He knows what to expect out of Quinn. We have shared so many good conversations about what he thinks of all these different players and really how we need to play for them to be most effective. And really feel if you look at what he did in Rochester with these guys to get them to this point, he's a great addition.
How, as a leader and the voice of an organization, do you approach expectations? Is it something that you just have to take on, or is it something that you kind of put the blinders on for?
I think there's, again, we have to approach it one game at a time, and I know that sounds simple, but we have to live in the moment. We can't talk about whatever the expectations are there or whatever the noise is on the outside. We have to be ready to enjoy the wins and get better. We also have to be ready to put away the losses and put them away in a hurry, because if you can stay away from losing multiple games in a row or getting on a bad stretch, there's a good time you'll find yourself where you need to be at the end of the year.
How talented is the team? How close do you feel like you are to something special, sustained success?
I think we are very close. And I'm really excited about the chance to get inside there and work with these guys, help develop them, help probably relate to them what it's going to take to be where we want to be.
We're sitting here and you've got a Sabres polo on as we do this interview. Did you ever think you would be, wearing a Sabres polo again and getting ready to coach another season as the head coach of this team?
You might find this a little bit funny, but there's a lot of Sabre polos in my closet, but I chose a new one. And I actually had a Bills polo on today, but I thought, I can't go with the Bills. I'll have to go Sabres.
As you guys get ready for the start of a little bit of a busy stretch for you, what is the mindset? What is your goal? How do you want to approach this next month?
Well, the next month is, we got some important decisions. We have a draft we got to go through. There's that window of free agency. We have to talk about, what we need. And Kevin and I, like I said, have talked a lot. We've had our pro scout meetings. We've talked about the possibilities. We've talked about free agents. So every team is doing their due diligence. Every team thinks they know what they need. I think the chance to get maybe a little bit more physical with our team, or to find one or two players can make us harder and more physical. We've shared a lot of conversations about that, but pieces that are going to make us better.
What is your approach to that? Because I think sometimes people hear the word physicality and think, we need to go get a fighter. We need to go get Rob Ray or Andrew Peters. But that has evolved so much over the years.
Yeah, it has. There are still teams that, still have that person.
Sure.
You look at the Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always a coach that liked to have my tools.
Yeah.
I think those tools help out the younger players, because there's a lot of bigger grown men, hard physical guys that still want to take advantage of you. So that tool is always something that is good to have.
Lindy, anything we didn't talk about? Anything you want to add? Anything you want to say to, I guess, Western New York now that you're back?
No, I'm enjoying what a fantastic day it is. Blue skies, and and really just feeling good about being back here and looking for the opportunity to get us where we need to be.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindy. I
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
that wasn't too boring for you.
Yeah,
Now
no
make
problem
sure
at all.
you've got your mic on, so don't forget.
How the hell do you remember all those questions? You got a prompter behind you?
No, I have no idea. I think I just blacked out for 25 minutes. I don't really know.